Hey guys, Steve Walls, Daren Smith, live here from Empire Field at Mile High Stadium in Denver territory. I was going to say Denver Broncos territory. It got me. This whole game has me discombobulated. Darren, 5 turnovers for the Denver Broncos. What did you see for? 5 turnovers for the Kansas City Chiefs. What did you see from this Chiefs offense?
A team that wasn't prepared to play today.
Yes.
Look, we got to give credit due. The other team gets paid to play football as well and get paid to try to win games. And it says something about a prideful thing when you lose 16 in a row and that's all you hear. You can't be Mahomes. You can't be Mahomes. And so I don't know whether or not the 2 weeks that they just played each other, whether that that could add a little effect because you don't normally play a division opponent that close, that closely apart. And so there were a lot of things that they didn't do the first game that they, saved up for this game, and they executed very well. And so at the end of the day, hats off to the Denver Broncos. They were able to end the spell that went all the way back to when the Royals won the World Series. So.
And you mentioned that spell, but it seemed like the Broncos came in with a lot of fire, right? Like you saw it, just the energy from that team. They wanted to get a win today. As much as Andy Reid, when he was asked, well, there's a 16-game streak. How are your players, thinking about? Are they thinking about that? Is it in the back of their head? And Andy's like, no, we're not thinking about it at all. Well, the Broncos clearly were.
Well, again, when you're winning that many games, after a while, it becomes a natural habit, and so you expect to come in and look. Let's keep on. We expected them to come in and win. They expected to do it as well. I mean, you win that many times, and we've seen the season that they've had thus far.
Right.
You expected to come in and to win today's ball game. One of the other things that we can talk about, and there's a lot to talk about as a race. And of course, you can join us at the Chicken and Pickle tomorrow for the Red Hour, where we'll discuss this more in depth. But one of the things that when you look at it, when you talk about the turnovers, Mahomes and Kelsey, like you mentioned earlier, they just seemed out of sync. It was a lot of things, and and here's the thing: we always talk about seeing. Well, at least I do. I always talk about them getting the ball first and establishing. When you get the ball, Denver won the coin toss, and I think that kind of is what, to me, that kind of turned the tide because the Chiefs are normally on that side of the football where they have to go out on offense first.
Of course.
And I think they went 3 and out. So you go 3 and out, and then the Broncos come out, turn around and score. I think they scored a touchdown right away.
Yeah.
And so now you're back against the wall. We think that's a wake up call for them, but instead, put up 3 field goals. I mean, literally, they haven't scored like this since the Super Bowl when they lost against Tampa Bay, with the three field goals.
And you mentioned going into halftime. Halftime score was 14-9 Broncos, right?
Yeah.
So, you think about that score. The Chiefs were never really out of it until 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, and that was what's strange because, as Justin always says, as long as you got 15 back there, you always got a chance, and you do.
Yeah.
You do. And look, I don't know whether or not the flu had any effect on his play.
He didn't look good after the game.
He didn't look good, but also he was holding to the ball way too long. Because we talked about it, like he had all day to throw the football, and normally even when he has that long period of time, he'll run with the football.
Of course.
And he didn't do it till second half for real. But so there were a lot of things that I saw in this game that, again, as you said, it just didn't look right. And when it didn't look right, it didn't feel right. And then sometimes players try to do too much. We look, we love McCall Harbin, but the team should have, and you said it upstairs in the press, but I'll give you credit. You said that they should have called a timeout because we thought they were going to go for a field goal, and then they lined up for a punt.
Right.
And so the players were running on and off the field, and a flag was never thrown.
Right.
It wasn't thrown. So, but when they kicked the ball, and McCall muffed it versus fair catch was letting it go into the end zone, we were kind of shocked that just how that turned to play went.
And now that I think about it, even though McCall's not going to say it, but there were so many things that were happening. And if you look early on in the game, and I asked Justin Reed about this post game, and he talked about tempo. The Broncos tried to do some things that the Chargers did as far as keeping the defense, looked like they were out of sync and they weren't lined up and ready to go. And that's how it was on the punt. They were like, "Oh, were you going for a punt?"
Yeah.
Well, McCall's running back there, and I know he's looking like, "Oh," because he's the guy that's supposed to count.
Yeah.
count to make sure there's 11 guys on the field because he's the furthest back.
Yeah.
So he's seeing this, and instead of someone else calling a timeout or even him calling a timeout himself, he tries to field it, and that's what happens.
Again, it goes back to coaching, clock management, and just being aware of your surroundings and your situation. The fact that they weren't, again, that it raises questions, but it's nothing dire that they can't actually come back for. Look, talking to one of the Chiefs people, it's hard to call it an embarrassing loss, as he said. You're 6-2, you won 2 Super Bowl rings,
right.
but it's still, it may not be an embarrassing loss, but when you hold yourself to a high standard, that was an embarrassing play out there because you don't have 5 turnovers in a ball game in the manner in which you did. You know, Mahomes with the 2 interceptions, again, the fumbles that just came out of nowhere. And the thing is, the defense, look, we've talked so much. You said it was 14-9. Yep. The defense kept them in the ballgame for so long that the offense let them down. And again, one of the things that really surprised me was that they went away from the running game way too soon and they do it way too often.
And another big thing is the red zone.
1-8 against the Broncos.
You're scratching your head because you have a running back that imposes his will on defenses, right? You tackle him so much, you try to tackle him too much, and you're going to get tired as the game goes on. And there's a lot of times when you get the 3-and-1, you get 4th-and-1. We talked about it. He threw the pass, it worked. But those are the times that it's like, man, just line up and go.
Look, even Bobby Stroop, Patrick's trainer, said that for once he liked to see them run a regular play, in that red zone area, right. Especially when you're down by the end zone. Again, sometimes the basic stuff is the simplest stuff. I mean, you don't always have to. It's the trickery, man, that just kind of drives you crazy when you're watching because you don't need to do it. Just sometimes just line up and run smash mouth football because that's what you did last year. Because hey, last year Mahomes had 3 interceptions in the first half of the game, but they still kept running the football. And they still kept having the football, and they didn't do it this year. I mean, they didn't do it this time around. And again, it's a will factor. It's a want to factor. And the thing is, we know the players, especially when I talk to the offensive linemen, they want to run the football.
Of course.
So
of course.
When I asked them why they went away from it, they didn't even have an answer for it.
And just talking to Mahomes post-game, asked them, how do you make sure that this isn't a domino effect? How do you make sure that there's no carryover? 3 words. Or 2 words, it won't happen. Or 3 words, it won't happen. Yeah, so
it won't happen.
So, Tyreek Hill is going to be ready for this game.
Oh, Tyreek's going to be talking.
Right now. I'm sure. So how do you make sure, just from the outside, 30,000 feet up, looking in, how do you make sure that there's no carryover?
Well, because the character of the team and the players themselves. If Mahomes says it's not going to happen, I take the man at his word. And so, it's hard for me to see because generally when they have a bad loss like this, they find a way to bounce back in a big way.
They do.
And obviously, to me, they don't have too many bad losses. I think this could probably be their worst loss of the season. Obviously, the rest of the season hasn't taken place yet, but
right.
But yeah, I can't. They'll look at the film one last time. Because what you want to do, you want to burn it inside your memory.
You got to have a short memory.
No, yeah. I have a short memory, but I'm saying, but you want to burn it so you don't have repeat. Because L'Jarius Sneed had 4 flags called. He actually had 5, but they declined one of them because they had already had the ball.
I agree with you. Lamar Wallace said the Chiefs killed themselves tonight, and that they did.
Yeah, and so look, I think they bounce back. I think they bounce back big. Look, I don't know how it's going to play next week. I know it's supposed to rain every day. While we're in Germany, and it's just going to be one of those situations where they just got to look. They have to do what the Broncos did. They execute. The Broncos caught passes.
Right.
They caught passes.
They did.
I mean, seriously, because Jerry Jeudy. In the last game, Jeudy and Sutton, they didn't.
It was personal.
Yeah,
it was personal.
And so in this game, we saw.
Deion say it's personal.
Yeah, and so to me, that's what they need to take into. They need to be. Again, I don't want to. When I talk to PR, it's not embarrassing. But if I'm them, I'm feeling that I got embarrassed because again, they said that they executed and they beat them. And so for me, it becomes a pride thing. How do you bounce back from this performance going into the next game so you don't make it two games in a row because what happens is next week's game you got the number 1, number 2 seeds in the conference, so you don't want to have them have a head-to-head, win against you. So, never mind. I don't have an issue traveling to Miami in January, but I prefer to be at home.
Yeah.
So that's what I think.
And they're cutting the lights off on us, folks. So for Steve Walls and Daren Smith, remember, catch us tomorrow. Myself, Uncle Sean Tyler, Daren Smith, DJ Q will be down at Chicken and Pickle. That's located in the Northland, right on Burlington. Come down, hang out with us. We'll probably have a few special guests joining us tomorrow. So,
hold on, before we go, but make sure, because we got a lot going on. We got the Red Out tomorrow, but make sure you wake up early next Sunday morning. Steve and I will be in Frankfurt, Germany.
7:30.
We will be. So no, it'll be 2:30 for us, but 7:30 for them.
Well, yeah, 7:30.
So we need you all to wake up early. We bring you the Chiefs. Well, we'll bring you the pregame cheat sheet live from Frankfurt, Germany.
That's how we're gonna know if you're really riding with us. 7:30. Come hang out with us online.
And I can assure you, there will be no other Kansas City radio personality besides Steve and I that will be there, because they don't travel as it is now. So make sure you follow us on social media platforms at Daren Smith WHB, at Steve Walls Kansas City. Follow us all week while we're in Germany. We'll bring you all the latest and greatest news and notes and information while we're there. So for Steve Walls, I'm Daren Smith. Make sure you join us tomorrow. Chicken and Pickle, 6:30 to 7:30 for the Red Hour. Daren Smith, Steve Walls, Sean Tyler, DJ Q. We are out of here.